In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 hidden settings in ChatGPT that you may not know about, but that you should switch on straight away to make the most of ChatGPT. Before we start, download your free AI Prompt Starter Pack, which has more than 70 ready-to-use prompts that work with any generative AI tool. Okay, the first tip I want to share with you is editing prompts. So once you've entered a prompt into ChatGPT and you've run it and you've received your response from ChatGPT, and you want to change something about the prompt because maybe you forgot to add something to it or you made a mistake or the output is just not what you were looking for. So instead of copying and pasting the prompt and starting again or rewriting it completely, you could actually go back to the prompt that you've already posted, hover over it, and then click Edit and edit the prompt, which is great, especially if your prompt is quite long. Then you can just edit a couple of words to get a different response, and ChatGPT will then regenerate the response. The next setting I want to share with you is temporary chats. So if you go to the top right corner and click this button, it will open a temporary chat. So a temporary chat is basically a chat that happens separately to everything that you've done in ChatGPT before. So this conversation in a temporary chat won't be remembered and it won't interfere with everything else that you're doing in ChatGPT. So if you want to do something that's drastically different to what you normally do and you don't want that to be remembered, then this is a great option. It's essentially the equivalent of opening up an incognito window in your browser. So you have the conversation. Once you're done, you just close it and it's forgotten and it's like it's never happened before. So my next 2 tips are about personalization. And when you go to the settings and open up the personalization tab, you will be able to see a section called About You. And this is essentially where you can provide as much contextual information about yourself as you want to give ChatGPT a bit of extra context about what you're trying to do, what your aspirations are, what your goals are, what's the reason why you're using ChatGPT. So the more information you give it here, the more information it will have to tailor the content it gives you. So one thing to remember is this will be applied to everything else that you do in ChatGPT. And my next tip is also to do with personalization, but this time it's about custom instructions. So this field allows you to add even more information about the context that you're working in. So you can add things like the tone that you want ChatGPT to use, the format. So for example, I personally don't really like emojis too much. So I can say don't use emojis or don't use too many emojis in the custom instructions. So everything I do in ChatGPT will then be produced based on those instructions. So this is great if you are using ChatGPT for lots of similar things. But if you're doing lots of very different things, it might actually be more useful to create projects or to create custom GPTs. And I've got separate, very detailed videos that explain each of those things in detail, step by step. So make sure you check them out. They're linked in the video description. And my final tip is not really a setting as such, but is just something that you can do inside ChatGPT to help you organize your conversations and find things more easily. So you can actually click those 3 dots next to a chat in the sidebar and you can rename that chat. So you can give it a name that will make it easier for you to find that chat in the sidebar if you ever need to go back to it again. And the other thing you can do is you can create projects and you can name the different chats that you start inside a project. So when you start a chat, usually there's a name that gets assigned to it automatically, but that might not be the right name for you. So to make it easier for you to identify the conversations within a project, you can just go back, click on the dots and rename the chats so that everything is nicely organized. And next time you're coming back to that same chat because you need more content and on that specific topic, it will be so much easier to find it. And I do have a separate video that goes into the details of how to create projects in ChatGPT, and I've linked it in the video description, so make sure you check that out as well. And don't forget to download your free AI Starter Pack with more than 70 ready-to-use prompts that work with any generative AI tool. I've linked it in the video description, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!